Hi, good afternoon, and welcome back to a lovely sunny day. So I call it I can do work on my Saab day. Uh, interim, obviously from my last video, which was in the house because of the weather, uh, I decided while I've got all the front end off before I weld the cross member on, that I'd put my flywheel on. So as you can see, it's on. So I thought I'd run you through. I've never done a clutch before. I've never seen a clutch, so this is all new to me. But it's quite straightforward on a Saab. Uh, so uh, first off, obviously new flywheel or second-hand flywheel that I got months ago. Uh, New bearing that I've pushed in with a socket level. You're going to have to excuse, I'm on the Manchester Airport flight path, so we'll have planes going in every 2 minutes and people coming back off the holidays. Lucky buggers. So basically, place the flywheel on. Uh, there's two settings, and I think that the 19mm bolts are on the facelift models from 87 onwards, but mine are 17mm bolts. So they're torqued up to 60 Newton meters in a cross pattern, diagonal pattern, or I think they call it a star pattern, and then whiz round with your torque wrench and just make sure everything clicks nice. So the starter motor's on. I've just ordered a slave kit, slave cylinder repair kit from Saab because I I didn't know whether the slave cylinder was the newer type or the older type, because between 85 and 86 they changed it for the older type, and I believe mine is the newer type, which is there. And uh, I'll show you in a minute about the release bearing that sits on the end, but I'll give you a few numbers. So your old slave cylinder, I think this is a Scandix number, was 1014097, which is obsolete, and the bearings aren't compatible, but you can get the new bearing. I know Saab bits do them, but they're quite expensive. And the old bearing is 8704728. So if you've got the old type slave cylinder, you can replace it. You can replace the release bearing, or you can replace the whole lot with the new type slave cylinder, which this is, I believe, and also the new type bearing, which is 8721995. They're the Saab part numbers. And your slave cylinder is either 8729840 or 8722209. So like I say, if you got the older type, it's obsolete. You can get the bearing, you can't get the sealed kits, or you can't repair it. You've got but you can replace it with the new type with a new release bearing. And I'm not even going to go down the union, but what I will show you is your bleed nipple's 13mm and your coupling is 13mm. Now that coupling is incredibly tight. Now, rather than risk rounding the nuts off, what I believe you can do is, if you get an old spanner about 14mm and a 13mm socket, and cut down the socket with a grinder, so it'll go over your clutch line, well that to there, then it's got to be a hex head. You've got a nice leverage device there, say an old spanner and an old socket. I mean, I've got loads of bits and pieces. So there's a little tip for getting that off, and obviously support it inside the cylinder there. I've not done that yet, obviously, because I'm not taking mine off. I'll bleed it. Another quick tip is that I found online is when you're removing your pressure plate and your clutch plate and your slave cylinder, I believe it has to come out in one, which is what I did. But if you get a paint scraper and use it as like a shim slide, you can actually, I think you can use two, one against the pressure plate. You can actually slide the whole system. It's awkward. It is awkward, but you can slide it out using the face of the paint scraper as a like a slide shim. So let me get my little list. I'm scripted here. Another thing as well is when you're taking your bolts out, I did a little pattern. Hopefully that'll come in. So those were my clutch bolts with the top one and the pin. 60 newton meters. Oh, and don't forget, you must clean the threads out and thread lock them. Otherwise, you will get oil leaks through the bolts. So make sure you use thread lock. 60 newton meters, cross pattern or star, or which eventually is a star pattern. These are the pressure plate bolts, all in order. The top one, which I marked everything on the as you can see on the flywheel, that little red tab. That was me starting bolt, and the same on the actual flywheel bolts. So if you're working like a clockwise direction, these are my 10mm mounting bolts. Some of them are Allen keys for the slave cylinder, and those are taut to, they're not very tight, 17 newton meters, just over hand tight, I would have thought. But again, don't forget your thread lock. Most important for your oil leaks. Clean the threads out, and obviously clean the bolts out with some the bolt threads with some brake cleaner or something like that. Another thing is check your input shaft. If there's any brown markings where it's starting to get hot, that's normally a sign that that your flywheel bearing's on its way out. So again, something I've read, so it might be helpful. And then it's a case of shimmying everything back in. I check the clutch. The clutch. Now this is only going on average. I've never done a clutch before, and I thought, wow, that's quite low. But apparently, your clutch faces in full thickness, you've only got a distance between the highest rivets of 1.7 when they're new. These are between 1.3 and 1.2, which I've checked with the depth with me vernier gauges, and so there's plenty of life left in that one. I marked the grill side and the engine side on the flywheel, so I know which way it goes in, which is like that. Build everything together. You have to shimmy the clutch plate into position, lightly loosen the flywheel, and put some bolts in so you get it centralized. And then once it's all tightened up, say 22 newton meters on the pressure plate bolts, knock your input shaft back in. It's held in with an internal circlip inside here. Check your oil seal here on your gearbox. And I was speaking to a chap. I thought, people say Saabs are really easy to change the clutches. Well, yes, they are, because you don't have to remove the gearbox. But if I was designing this, I'd bolt this casting to this casting. Obviously, your output from your engine comes here, and it goes down to through set of chains to your gearbox. I would have made that casting so it was not removable. Well, yeah, removable if you were doing the whole engine, but when you're doing the clutch, if you could just back it off about 3 or 4 mil, then you've got ample work to remove the clutch. You could do it in 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, whatever. But it'll be so it would have been so much easier if this was on some sort of removable casting instead of the back piece being in one to the gearbox. But that was my thought, and I thought that was what would have made life really easy. So not really going to show you. You've got your little mixer that goes in the end of your input shaft. Oh yeah, when you're removing your input shaft, and there's plenty of videos on the internet, but if you use one of your flywheel bolts, screw it into there, and then I use my pry bar against the casing and just simply levered it out. So crowbar, pry bar, whatever you call them, I used the fork end, and it simply came straight out, which is and then just tap it back in, but make sure it's aligned all the way through. So then obviously your mixer goes on, then your cover, which can only go on one way because you've got one tab there which fits into the little groove up here, and then you clip your spring fastener across there, and that holds everything together. I say don't forget to check your seal. I might replace the seal, I don't know, but at the moment, obviously priorities. So obviously I'm ready now. Once that's done, I'm ready to weld the cross member in and give everything a final clean up. I've got a couple of bits of patches to weld, so, some here, a little bit here, seam sealer, rust kill, and then I'll show that on a different video because that wasn't my intention. My intention was to, while I've got the nice weather, was to put the new cross member back in, but obviously got plenty of room. Do the clutch or do the flywheel while I've got it. So I'll take you around. I was having a bit of laugh before. I'll show you my airline. I cut it with a strimmer, and it's decided to turn itself into a goat-eating anaconda. You can't fix it with tape; it's too high pressure. But it's like a belly of an anaconda. It's gone down the outer skin of the hose, so I'm going to need a new one. So there's my beams. They're going to be. I've got to make the brackets, like I say on the last video. There's my slam panel and radiator surround. That's all removable, so I'll be able to work on that separately once I get the welding cross member welded in. But going back to what I've been doing with the clutch and the bearing, I hope this comes out. The pressure plate. Now you can buy these tools. Now I got told there was 6mm. I used a piece of 6mm and I couldn't get it in. Then I got told it's about 5mm. So I think this is 4.8. What it is, it was a piece of it's electrical cable racking, which I cut a length, cut all the welds off, cleaned it up, and then I'll put you on, see if I can just excuse the camera like that. What I did was I got an old tin lid and held it in the vise like so, and just bent it round, measured it. So that's about 5mm, and there's your retaining clips, which you can see are holding the clutch fingers back in there. There. So that was quite a quick fix, and it's worked perfect. I say it is a struggle to get that the clutch, the pressure plate, and you've got to take the slave cylinder off. But the main thing, what I was concerned about, was the I think they called it the upload bearing, which is the clutch release bearing. Now I'm going to need two hands for this somehow. Just bear with me. I'll just show you my old flywheel. There's the old flywheel where obviously originally the starter motor wore the teeth out, so I wasn't going to chance ruining another starter motor. But I'll keep that, and I believe these companies that'll put quite a standard ring gear on there. So that's the hard part to locate that. But I'll move this chair around to see if we can get in one shot. No, maybe I can't. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. Sorry about this. So yeah, the clutch release bearing. Now, last night when I took it all off, I thought, oh my god. Looking on the video on YouTube, I thought that is so bad. That's the bearing, and I thought it's got loads of play in it, and it's really, really stiff and grindy. Now, well, not really stiff, but it was very grindy. So I got a tip this morning, was to soak it in thinners, give it a shake in the thinners. I used an old, I think it was hot and sour soup from the Chinese takeaway, in there, give it with thinners, and then what I did was if you get your airline and you send it off like a turbine, back in the thinners, give it a shake, and then I mean, you can see now, I don't know if that will come out in camera. All it needs now is packing with grease, and then your little, I'll show you here, your little seal, the little internal rubber seal. I've marked the face so I know that yellow dot corresponds to the conical side of the bearing. So that goes in back to front like that. So pack it with grease. I got that out with a like a dental pick, which was really easy. It comes out really quick. So that is basically it. I believe it's called an upload bearing, but there is meant to be play in it, because once it's on the shaft and once it's pushed against the pressure plate fingers, you don't get any play at all. And that is now running so smooth, and that's without grease. So, and I'll just show you quickly. Look at all the shit that came out of it. Look at I mean, a lot of it is like muddy water, but at the bottom, you can see that there's it's sand, metal. I don't know, but that's what you're going to end up with. So hopefully, sorry about the camera again. I'll put you in the I'll put you in shadow, and then you can probably see it a little bit better because of the sunlight. But there you go. That's the bearing cleaned, re-greased, and hopefully good for another few thousand miles. Just normal standard thinners. That's all you need. And say repack it with high temperature bearing grease. And that for that one is that, because like I said, I've not done this before, but it was quite an enjoyable job, to be honest with you. And I'm so glad now I don't have to buy a new release bearing, because what I thought was faulty is quite normal. So I'll get that done, get the clutch back in, and then get the long-standing vein of my life welded back in the car, and then I can start concentrating. Everything's done. All the I've shown you on the other video. All the brakes are rebuilt. I've got my Schultz, so that should see that side of the car. I've got my door to do. Obviously the door bottom, which again I'll show you on a separate video. I've got the panels for that, and as normal, well, something different today. Can of tango. Unfortunately, no beer this afternoon. Can't drink. Granddaughter's here, so that might be of some help to some people. Like I say, I'm no expert, but give it a go. It's quite an enjoyable job, really. But I say it's a lot easier for me that I haven't got the bonnet. Obviously, it's easier to take the bonnet off, get the bonnet off, and it's quite a straightforward job, really. So that's it. Drink the tango. Look after yourself. See you in the next one. Take care.